the offense is something that you wanted to be consistent. And we saw them, like you mentioned, 27 runs in their very first 2 games, which was like incredible. But since then, we've seen a lot of boom or bust from this team.
And even in this past series with the Royals, who the Rangers, of course, took 2 out of 3 against Kansas City, they scored 11 runs. In game 1 of the series, scored 8, including, of course, the game-winning home run by Jonah Heim to walk it off on Tuesday night. Scored 19 runs in the first 2 games, then only 1 last night against the Kansas City Royals. But you look at how this season started, as you mentioned, the 27 runs in the first 2 games over the Philadelphia Phillies. Then they scored 2 in their win to sweep the series on Sunday. But then no runs against Baltimore in game 1 of that series. Only 2 runs in game 2 of that series, where they lost 2 out of 3 in that series to Baltimore at home. They won 5-2 on that Wednesday. But then against
0, 3, 8, 11, 8, 1, right? Like you do have this bouncing back and forth. And even Bochy, when it was brought up to him by the KNC Masterpiece, he was like, yeah, you know, and he said it kind of joking, like, yeah, we need to talk to the guys. Like, you know, sometimes when you're getting going, hey, save some of these for later. I do wonder how much of this is just like the way that the lineup is situated. Right? We talked about coming into this, the bottom of the lineup being a little problematic, so to say. And then also now you have injuries already factoring in with Corey Seager.
Oh boy,
who was, a really solid part of this. So I do think that you're going to have to see more guys in the lineup produce a little bit more steadily as well, right? So you're going to, Leote is back up. Is Leote going to make sure to get on base? Like his first or second at bat, I should say, in that game, he laid down a beautiful bunt that I thought he was going to get over, and it just crept foul. But yeah, I mean, you're going to have to be really smart with getting on base in that way, I think, as well. But yeah, no, I'm real intrigued to see, because again, it's a real small sample, but I think because of the ways that they've been able to build innings, when they get going, it ends up looking really good, right?
It snowballs pretty quick.
It snowballs, but when they are not capable. So I also wonder if some of this is like you just need the guy that breaks this open, right? Like, and I don't even know exactly how to explain it, but like the guy that when you're having one of those nights is like, I will unseal this so that we can kind of change the way that this goes.
Yeah, and this is more so, as you mentioned, this is early sample size for a team that's very early on into its season, and something that I believe will even out as the season goes on. But you don't want to find yourself as a team that's boom or bust game in and game out, given what you're going to be relying on, especially from your top 6 guys in that lineup. And now it taking a hit with Corey Seager going to be out for a good period of time dealing with the hamstring injury. And I think for me, when I watch this ball club, part of my concern is, yes, when this team is on and hitting the baseball all over the park in terms of, slugging percentage, those kinds of things, can you find ways at times to manufacture runs when you're not getting everything via the 3-run home run or the grand slam or getting those kinds of runs in bunches?
Yeah.
Can you find ways to use some of that team speed that you have on this squad to be able to manufacture some things at times by getting bunts down, by being able to steal some bases and get yourself into scoring position more often than not, where you can take advantage of some of those things versus having to rely upon big innings to feel like you have to put up a bunch of runs on the board versus pacing your way through a game and being able to manufacture runs the way that you can for this team.
Right. We're going to keep watching, right? Like it's still really early in this. I mean, like I mentioned, you were just getting who you're anticipating being your starting center fielder back. Like there's still some level of figuring out that needs to be done for this team. And Bruce Bochy has mentioned he's still getting to know this team even as we go. So I'm intrigued, and hopefully we do not end up in this boom or bust situation, because I do think that does lend to some level of it might kind of neutralize the benefit that we were hoping to get back on the 1-run game stat. Like they obviously lost the whole
other direction, right?
Right. And so even if you get better at 1-run games, if you have these weird games that you probably should have some level of competition in that end up getting really wonky because you did not, you had one of these famine games, I think that's going to be really frustrating when you get to the end of the season and you're looking at your win total and it does not measure up the way that you want it to. You know what I mean?
Rangers right now, of course, tied at the top of the AL West with the Los Angeles Angels right now. 7-5 are both clubs after their first 12 games. But there is a team that has taken Major League Baseball by storm because they are outscoring their opponents by 71 runs, and they added to that today. The Tampa Bay Rays, tie the modern era record for undefeated start in a Major League season. 13-0 to start off their season. They've already scored 101 runs in their first 13 games, plus 71 run differential right now in Major League Baseball. By far the best in the game for Tampa off to that 13-0. So already up 5 games on the Yankees and the Toronto Blue Jays, respectively.
Yeah, man. It really is as simple as the pitching is outstanding and the bats are doing what they need to do.
Incredible.
Right? Like, they have a batting average of 286. And I guess I should look at OPS, which is even better at 945.
That's nasty work.
Right,
man.
like this is just, everything is working. And I mean, we kind of fall into the habit of looking at the other teams and being like, well, they're not playing the best of the league. Derek Holland on Wednesday really cautioned us against doing that because you're playing against pros, and I understand that. I'm sure it helps a little bit that they're playing against teams that are not the best, but I mean, you still look at the ways that they're performing. They're stepping up to bat. I mean, they're slugging 578.
And they took advantage of a Boston team who is struggling mightily right now.
And again, it does not hurt that they're running out like really good pitching. It's one of the things that the Rays has made their calling card of late is developing, not just going and finding and paying, but developing good pitching in house. And it just keeps happening. And I really do want somebody to do some level of study as to why the Tampa Bay Rays have been so damn good at getting these, at developing this pitching arsenal, because now you have Shane McClanahan out there just taking dudes down. And I mean, you look at someone like a Blake Snell, who not too long ago with the Rays was killing. The Padres not looking quite as nice. And so I wonder, is that a fully a development thing? Is some of this just the way that they are coaching them? But I am fascinated to see the 13-0 Tampa Bay Rays right now.
And a lot of people will point to their schedule to start off with from the season, saying from the 9-7-2 about look who they've played so far. I mean, collectively, they have played Detroit, Washington, Oakland, and now they just completed the clean sweep of Boston to start off their season. So Boston has struggled. Anna Duvall, of course, with the wrist injury, not available for Boston right now, but they go on the road for their next, 6 games, as they take on Toronto and Cincinnati before they come home for a decent homestand against the Chicago White Sox and the Houston Astros, who the Rangers will see this weekend, of course, on your home of the Rangers, 105.3 The Fan.
Yeah, so they're definitely going to be in a situation where we're going to have some level of measuring stick as we start getting here. But you look at the way they've put up runs, brother. Like, how many 4 games where they've had double-digit runs in these games of the 13 thus far, and a few of them were only 1 or 2 runs away, 1 run away. They have 3 other 9-run games. Like, they're managing to get their bat on this baseball and send it the other way. So I'm really interested in the Rays. Obviously, full disclosure, one of the reasons I'm interested in the Rays is because I have Shane McClanahan on my fantasy baseball team.
By the way, how's that doing so far?
Going pretty well. Won the first week.
Okay.
That's all you can ask for. Going pretty well starting the second week. Y'all don't care about my fantasy baseball team. What you do care about is stolen bases, though. Right? I know me personally, I was always interested in the stolen bases and like the sizes of the bags, the pickoff rule, those things. We've seen an uptick in stolen bases, in actually stolen bases attempted, and also stolen bases success rate. Success rate is quite literally at an all-time high. Stolen bases, we've seen similar rates, attempts. We've seen as similar rates in various different times, but we are seeing success rate go up. And the success rate had a pretty solid jump. Although if you look at it over the course of time, the highest success rate we've seen right now is happening right now. The second highest was 2 seasons ago. The third highest was last season. So this is a trend that has been happening, but now we are seeing it fully accelerate. And what's funny is also like steals at second base are kind of up in a way.
Okay.
Let me see. So success rate is up from 75 to 79 at second base.
Okay. And I think this is what you were hoping for if you were Major League Baseball. Not just the pace of play, which we've seen over half an hour shaved off of these games in terms of playing time, but also more action on the base paths and the aggressiveness of teams willing to go out and steal bases, which adds another exciting element to the game. So creating more entertainment value for fans to be able to enjoy the product of Major League Baseball. So I love it. I think it changes, strategically how teams go about attacking, defenses in terms of trying to put pressure on opposing pitchers to be able to try to find ways to manufacture runs throughout the course of ball games. I love it. And I hope that we continue to see more of that, because it just, again, brings another exciting element to the game, but also just creates more fun.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think is interesting is attempt rate, like I mentioned, has not gone up drastically. I wonder how much of that is just teams trying to feel this out. Right, we'll try it a little bit, but we're not going to now throw our entire offensive strategy into we're trying to be all Ricky Henderson, right? I'm interested in seeing
that. Made the game more fun too.
That's what I'm talking about. But I want to see now if the success rate then leads people to go to the trough more, to try and steal more bases, because now we're getting into that. In that instance, we're getting into a really fun place of testing catchers, testing testing middle infielders, and seeing
again more pressure on defenses.
More pressure, more action, and obviously possibly more scoring.